All right, how you guys doing? It's Nate from Fight Fit again. Today we're going to talk about how to properly do a box jump. Pretty self-explanatory, but there are a few things that will make this motion, one, safer, and two, more efficient, for you when it comes to developing the muscles you're trying to develop, in the exercise. Okay, so what we want to do is when you approach the box, it's good to be about, maybe about a foot and a half away from it. We don't want to be too close. The closer you are, the higher risk you run of banging your shins into the side of it. Fortunately, we have soft boxes here. That's going to be much more painful if you had a hard box. If you're practicing at home or in another gym, that could be a problem. And again, too far away, you start running the risk of the box actually shifting when you jump onto it. So, I think a good rule of thumb is about a foot and a half away, whatever makes you comfortable, but right in about that range. Okay, start with your feet shoulder width apart. Now, when we jump up on the box, our goal needs to be to get the entirety of both of our feet onto the box, okay? A lot of the times you see people do box jumps and leave their heels hanging off, kind of like this, all right? This is very dangerous, and again, what that can create is that can create kind of an angular pressure and force on the box and create it to move, especially with these lighter boxes. Okay, so your goal needs to be for every rep, both feet completely on the box. If that means you have to go down to a shorter box, that's fine. Go down and do the technique properly. All right, so now when we do it, again, try to land with your feet at approximately the same distance apart as you start. Once you get onto the box, stand all the way up into the squat position before coming down. Okay, so I'm going to demonstrate. I'm going to jump up, feet shoulder width apart, landing both my feet all the way on the box here. Okay, and then I'm going to stand all the way up. And then at that point, I can dismount the box in a couple different ways. The safest and the easiest, but also kind of a little bit slower when it comes to getting a lot of reps in, is just the basic step down. All right, stepping down with one foot, then the other. Okay, again, I'll jump up, and I can step back down, one foot, then the other. If you are going to do this method, and you're doing repeated box jumps, I recommend alternating which foot you step down with first. That way you're working out both legs equally. So if the last time I stepped down with my right foot first, this time I'll come down with my left. Come back up, come back down with my right. Okay, kind of alternate that pressure on both of your muscles. For a scaled down version of this, if you're not quite comfortable jumping all the way up on the box, obviously first it would be to go to a lower box, and then second would just to be to do a step up. All right, so we talked about the step down, step up. Again, I'm going to alternate my feet, but I'll just step one foot up, flat, foot all the way on the box, followed by the other foot. Okay, then back down. Then I just switch. Now my left foot comes up to here, back down. At any point when I'm doing this, try to keep your back straight. Definitely not good to get in the habit of doing this and leaning over on either the jump or the step up. We want that back nice and straight as we go up, just as you would if you were doing a squat. All right, so that's definitely the most common scaled down version of this. Start by going lower in the height of the box, and if you still need help, go ahead and work your step up, and then ultimately build up to your box jump. Talk about how to properly do the jump squat technique. There's a couple different ways to do this. For right now, we're gonna kind of leave the hands alone. Depending upon what you want to do with your hands, you can alter their positioning to make you feel comfortable. If you bring them up over your head at the end of this jump squat, it makes it a little bit more difficult as opposed to having it in front of you. Also, obviously, if you have weight on you, that's going to change the level of difficulty of the technique. The big thing I want to focus on is how we're doing it with our legs, okay, and kind of transition from one rep to the next. So, just like with the squat, everything's going to apply. That the bottom motion of the squat, everything stays the same. We want our feet shoulder width apart, weight on our heels, chest up, good curve in our back, dropping our butt back first for the squat, sitting down and coming back up. Now as we come up, we're going to explode out of the squat and we're going to jump. When you do this, it's not super important to get a ton of height. The goal is just to make sure that we can land safely and repeat the technique over and over again. So don't worry about trying to necessarily, jump 6, 12, 18 inches off the ground, as much as just make sure you get your entire foot off the ground a little bit. So I'm going to come up, and the goal is going to be to get back down into that same squat position on the landing, as opposed to having to stop with my legs locked. Okay? So I'm going to come down, and I'm going to shoot up, and I want to come straight back down into my squat position. Okay? So again, I come down, up, and back down, and back up. Okay? So the full jump squat is not from here to here, and then stopping in a locked position up top. We want to get the full drop of that motion and come back up. So it's down, up, and all the way back down here. Or you notice I put my hands in front of me a little bit to keep my balance and kind of offset the weight of my body, towards the back. Now, you know, if you feel comfortable, when you jump to the top, you can bring your hands from here up overhead and back down. Up to you, and obviously up to the instructor with how he tells you to do the particular technique, you know, during that class. So when you do this, again, try to make sure the landing is safe. You want to come all the way down into a good squat, up, and then smoothly come back down. I'll show a couple from the side, here, down, up, down, up, down, up. Just like that. Today we're going to get a little more complicated. We're going to go over some barbell techniques that you guys typically do. First thing we're going to talk about is how to properly do the push press, okay? The key to doing the push press correctly is first going to be the front rack position and how you actually hold the bar, okay? So I'm going to start here with the bar, you know, at my waist, about my arms are about shoulder width apart. I've got all 4 fingers around the bar in the front, and my thumb is wrapped around the bar in the back. Never grip over this way, okay? If you can see my thumbs, never grip over the front like this, what they call a suicide grip, only because it's more dangerous and you run the risk of dropping the bar onto your toes, okay? So we're going to have our thumbs wrapped around the bar, about shoulder width apart, a little bit further, okay? We're going to bring the bar up into the front rack position. When we get to this position, we really want to try to drive our elbows out here as far as we can, okay? And have it nice and tight to our chest, okay? The further the bar comes off your chest, the harder it is to support because it's bringing that weight in front of you and it's going to cause you to lean over. So you want that bar up against our chest, right on your center line, nice and comfortable. Flexibility is going to help a lot with this, so the more you do it, the easier it'll get, okay? This position will be uncomfortable on your wrists in the beginning, but as you practice it, you'll get a lot better. Now, going into the actual push press, the power is going to come from your legs more so than your arms. So what we want to do is we want to actually do a dip drive motion to start the technique and start to accelerate that bar. So the first thing we're going to do is almost initiate a small squat by dropping our butt back first and create a little bit of a bend in our knees, okay? So we're going to drop our butt back, create a bend in our knees, and then we're going to drive it up. And if you notice, without me doing anything with my arms, that bar starts to jump off my shoulders a little bit. Okay? That's the momentum that we want to capture to bring the bar overhead. So at that point, once we get that little hop, we're just going to start extending our arms straight above our head. The key when we do this is we want to move our head around the bar, not the bar around our head. Okay? Again, if we move the bar around our head, the bar is going to come off of our chest, get really heavy in front of us, and pull us forward. So we want to tuck our chin back and bring that bar, or excuse me, bring our head around the bar. So I'm going to come down in my dip drive, and as I come up, I'm going to tuck my chin back and shoot my hands over top of my head. Notice how I kind of turtle my head at the end, driving my chin through the bar. That's going to engage my shoulder muscles and use less chest here and more shoulders by driving my chin through and really kind of isolating the deltoid muscles and making it a lot easier. Okay, so again, a little bit faster. We're going to dip, drive, and explode all the way through. So I dip, drive, and drive forward. Back down. Here, and back down. Now from the side, again, this time pay attention to my head, and notice how I move it around the bar. So I come down here, and through. And look at my head at the end of the motion too. You'll see it push through the center line here. One more. All right, a little bit more complicated, but you guys can do it with practice. At home, if you don't have a barbell to practice with, just go ahead and practice it with a PVC pipe or a broomstick. Everything still applies. You have less weight, but you can still drill the technique at home with any sort of straight object, all right? Practice makes perfect, so give it a try. Okay, this time we're going to go over the thruster. The thruster is really just a combination of 2 moves we've already talked about, the squat as well as the push press. It's just going to be combining them together and using your momentum all the way through the range of motion in order to make it as efficient as possible. Again, on this one, it's all about momentum. It's all about stringing the reps together, to make it easy on yourself. Okay, so we'll start in our good front rack position. Again, elbows up, hands about shoulder width apart, a little bit further. Okay, now instead of initiating by going up for the push press, we're going to initiate by going down into a front squat position. Okay. All of the principles of the squat apply. We want our feet slightly wider than shoulder width apart. We're going to have our weight back on our heels. We're going to initiate the squat by dropping our butt back first. We're going to get into a full squat position, and then we're going to explode out of the squat, driving straight up into the push press position, okay? So we're going to go ahead and we're going to drop back into our squat position, and then we're going to come straight up, and we're going to use this transition point here and this momentum just as our dip drive technique in the push press, and we're going to drive the bar straight overhead for a good push press. and then back down. Okay, so now let's do it a little bit faster, all kind of at the same time without the pause in the middle. All the way down, up, and into the push press. Here, all right? Down, up, and into the push press. Now from here, if you're doing multiple reps, the key is not to bring the bar back down and stop here and start over, because again, we're breaking that momentum. What we want to do is we want to bring the bar back down and let it transition us all the way back down into our squat. So we'll come from here all the way down, back into the squat, and up. Here. Over and over. All right, from the side, here. Coming all the way down, and up. Down, up, down, up. One more, down, and up. All right, so again, just the combination of two moves. The key is stringing those two moves together efficiently and making sure we keep good technique throughout the entire motion. All right, thank you.